Hey guys, it's your girl Corporate Carolyn, and I am stopping by before my next meeting to share another video with you. I published a video, I believe it was a few days ago, that was talking about embracing change, accepting it as an adventure and how it might lead to, one good opportunity after the next. A lot of times I know that that's easier to say than it is to actually live it, because shortly thereafter I found out about the precarious state of my job that I'm loving so much, or this contract position for 2024. So I'm not really sure if it's a definite yet. So I'm kind of praying about that and hoping that I get to finally keep doing something that I enjoy. So we shall see what happens. But I thought that that would lead to a great opportunity for me to talk about contracting versus being an FTE. In one of the videos that I made a while back, I talked about how I really hated my last full-time employee position with a company that made things, technical editing. They made it so much harder than it ever needed to be, and they just sucked all of the fun out of it, and just made things so bureaucratic. And some of the people that I wound up outlasting, actually, that kind of almost like hazed me, and it was just horrible. In order for a person who's in their mid to late 50s to leave a full-time employee position to go back into the precarious, volatile, and dynamic world of contracting, it has to be horrible. So I do like contracting, and I know some of you, especially those of you who are looking into technical writing and have been asking questions about how you make the transition, you will have two options, regardless of what industry you contract in. You have the option to be a full-time employee, which a lot of times pays a little bit less, mainly because they have more benefits. The medical health benefits, those are going to be cheaper. That's one reason why the salary may not be as high, and you really have to compare apples to apples. Like 70 as an employee versus 100 as a contractor, where you might not have any benefits, you might not have holiday leave, whereas as an employee you have holiday, you often have sick, not all the time. Before, it was a guarantee that you'd have sick leave, but every company doesn't. By the time I left Sprint back in, I think, 2007, they had gone from the 3-week sick leave to not having any sick leave at all. And you just had 3 weeks. That was your sick leave and your vacation. It was just considered leave or PTO. So, but you have to really just weigh all of that, like whether or not you have holidays, how many holidays you have. Do you have 7? Do you have 10? You need to look at all of that to decide, how much money you want. So a lot of times when you're trying to decide whether you should be an FTE or a contractor, one, look at your age. Are you trying to find something where you could just get in where you fit in and ride it until the wheels fall off into retirement? Or are you actively trying to gather as much experience as you would like in order to just keep moving up the corporate ladder? And a lot of times, the more you can diversify your experience and, get a lot of responsibility to put on your resume, to show up on your profile on LinkedIn, it makes you more valuable. You can ultimately make more money. So if you're earlier in your career, that whole lateral move around, get 5,000 more here, 10,000 more there. And then next thing you know, you have a salary that you're happy with, and you also have the resume that you like to craft yourself. Contracting is a wonderful opportunity for that. Like a lot of times when you become an FTE, you can't always control, the type of experience you get, how quickly you get it, and also your salary doesn't go up as high. Like, some places, like when I worked for MCI years ago, I think the pay increase that I got was, I don't know, like maybe $2,000 or $3,000 in a year. And some companies, they might do a pay increase freeze, and you might not increase from year to year. But going into contracting almost guarantees that your salary will go up. But like I said, there gives and takes, depending on whether you're new in your career or whether you're established in your career. And also, there's some people who just want the safety of being an employee of a company, where if they try to fire you for, some bogus reason, you have the buffer of HR. You can, contest it. They have to give you notice. They have to work with you in order for you to just be kicked out. But contracting, a person could look at you one day and just say, I don't like the looks of that Carolyn. She gets on my nerves. She's too perky. We'd like her to leave. And they could just say, goodbye, your last day is today. Or they could say, at the end of, 2 weeks, you'll be leaving, your services are no longer needed. They don't have to explain why, they don't have to do anything. And that's why a lot of companies like to have contractors, because like at the end of the year, if you want to change how your bottom line is looking, you can just say, get rid of the contractors. We don't need them, and hundreds of people could go from a large company, but that won't make the front page of a newspaper. But if you start letting go of hundreds of employees, that affects the way that you look in the media. So contractors are always going to be in demand, and they bring varied skill sets, and they are a good way to supplement a workforce. So often you make more money. But like what I will caution you, if you do become a contractor, just like do your homework and make sure that the rate that you're getting is fair, because like company A might call you for a position and they'll say, oh, hey, well, this is $30 an hour. Company B might reach out to you and say, oh, well, we can pay $40 an hour, and then another company will come with the same position and say, oh, well, the max we can give, like if you ask them a question, well, is $30 an hour the max that you can give? And then they might say, well, we can go as high as 45. And you've talked to 3 different people, and all of a sudden you've gone from $30 an hour to $45 an hour within a couple of conversations. And then you might talk to the 4th person, and then you could get them to agree to $50 an hour. But again, you have to ask them. And what I do is I write things down on paper so I can do a pros and cons list, because say hypothetically, if a person said, well, we can give you $60 an hour as a W-2, and then, but they said, but there's no medical, there's no holidays, there's no sick, then you might want to reevaluate what that $45 an hour contract position, brings. And it helps you to decide which one is the best for you. Look at quality of life. A lot of times I like contracting positions as well, because typically people don't want to pay you overtime because they pay such a high price for contractors. They could be paying $100 an hour. They could be paying your company $200 an hour. That's why it pays to negotiate if you really have a strong skill set. In fact, I always encourage it. And like when someone asks me, like, what rate do you want? I flip that back on them. I don't give them a number, because invariably what you give them will be less than what they would probably be willing to offer if you just are brave enough to say, well, I haven't. This is just an example. Well, I haven't been in, the market for a while for contracting, so I'm not quite sure of what the going rate would be. I want to be sure that I compare apples to apples. So really, what's the max that you're willing to offer for this position for a person with my skill set? And then just, take a few breaths and wait for them to respond, and see where they start. And that's where the dance of rate negotiations start. But if you, if you said, well, I'd like $35 an hour, hypothetically, and they're willing to offer 45, do you know how long it'll take you, if you stay at a position for a number of years, how long it'll take you to recoup $10 an hour? The rate, so that you know what an hourly rate equates to annualized, multiplied times 2,080. Say if you multiplied 30 times 2,080, that would mean that it would be probably about $61,000 a year if you worked all of those 2,080 hours that are available for you to work in a year, minus you doing overtime. So I think that that's a good place for you to start, and just keep that in the back of your mind, and then figure out the best way that you like to to position it. So I've done both FTE, contracting. I think they're both good, but it just depends on what you want. And I like contracting right now because, like I said, with the cost of a contractor, they don't want you to work more than 40 hours a week. So my company, I need permission to work over 40 hours a week. And although this project that I'm on right now, they don't want to pay me for overtime, but if I go over, then that manager will allow me to, like say that I have overtime hours, and then like make those up later. Like if I want to leave early on a Friday, I'd be able to do that. So that's one of the reasons why I like to work as a contractor. But it is precarious. You do have to look out for number one, and make sure that you keep your eyes open at all times, because budgetary constraints could eliminate you. And also you want to put your best foot forward if you are going to step into the contracting arena, because you'll want to make contacts. You want your work to speak for you, so that like if someone says like what they're telling me, they might not have work for me in 2024, I have at least 5 people that I can go to that I might be able to say, hey, will you have any technical writing opportunities on your team for 2024, just in case I need to move around, because I want to keep this work from home train going. And I don't really feel like learning any new things, but as I said in that video about embracing change, I'll do what I have to do, because your girl has bills just like you guys do too. So if you guys have any questions about what I've just told you, please let me know and I'll be happy to answer it. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.